breaking news, and there is already inside the courtroom. Two bits of news here. Donald Trump has just been fined $8,000 for violations of a gag order imposed by the judge. So that's 8 different violations, $1,000 each, that total $8,000. Back with Katie and Jana. Did you expect this, or is there more to come, Katie?
I expected that he would issue sanctions based upon his responses to the defense attorneys during argument. Judge Merchan made it very clear he felt that Trump had violated these orders. Again, I believe that the orders are unconstitutionally vague, and especially the order pertaining to Trump's commentary on the judge's own daughter, which, according to the order, can only be enforced if it interferes with the judge's work. And if that's the case, then the judge should have clearly recused himself. So it's a very circular situation with that. But absolutely, this is what we expected. I believe there's another hearing on Thursday for additional allegations of violations of the order.
So this might be an indication of where that will go. The jury was not in the room when those violations were announced and the fines were announced. They were brought in afterwards. But, Jana, in this situation, will the jury know about that?
No, they shouldn't, especially if they're following the order that they're not supposed to be on social media. They're not supposed to be doing their own homework, so to speak. And if I were representing Donald Trump, I would tell him to write that check for $16,000 and go violate that ridiculous gag order another 8 times. That's what I would tell him. We were talking again. This is so unfair, given that he's taken off the campaign trail. These jurors can't do their own homework. He should not be gagged.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the-
Come on, we can do it. We can do it. I am a father of 3 children. I can do my dad dance. You just pull your elbows in, and go back and forth. And Donald Trump throwing bones in the courthouse while we are throwing bows inside of the studio. Here we are looking for Trump found in contempt for violating gag order, and the judge says, I will throw you in prison. I will throw you in prison. Donald Trump just finished speaking seconds ago. Donald Trump just held a campaign rally inside of the courthouse. Our production team has clipped it. We are ready to go. We will be playing that. We are loading it up. He literally just stopped speaking a second ago. Soros-funded, terrorist-sympathizing protesters have taken over Columbia University, and this is going to shock you. They're acting like terrorists. They're breaking in, and they're now storming the hallways and holding people hostages. Yeah, we'll show you exactly how Florida deals with these scumbags. And Mitt Romney replacement Trent Staggs joins the show from the great state of Utah. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. If you go to one of these Hamas-hole protests and you get bit by one of them, which we did last week, they came for us, all right? We went there to do man on the street interviews. It was like 2 seconds in, and they all surrounded us and started attacking Eric, who was filming, and producer Robbie. They were like surrounding us, and it was really bad. Who knows what we picked up there, okay? They could have been, you get a bite, you go, oh my gosh, have you had your shots? Ladies and gentlemen, don't be scared if you have the Wellness Company. The Wellness Company is the company that obviously makes sure that I have all of the emergency antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics that you need to walk through a George Soros terrorist-funded rally, which, again, I wouldn't advise you to do. We were trying to cover Joe Biden's visit to Tampa, and there were 1,000 protesters that showed up. Some on the left, some on the right. Anyway, we're glad that we are protected by the Wellness Company in order to get your emergency kit for that or any other thing that nature or the globalist governments may throw your way. Go to twc.health/Benny, twc.health/Benny, and enter the promo code Benny for 10% off, twc.health/Benny. Okay, here we go, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, producer ALX has told me and instructed me that we have Donald Trump's commentary from the court. It is loaded and it is ready to go. Donald Trump just stopped speaking moments ago. We have a tradition on this show while everyone else is trying to gag or talk over Donald Trump or trying to you've seen this with CNN and MSNBC. They cut away during Trump's comments. We will play you fully Donald Trump's comments without interruption. The president deserves that. However, the president has, and this is very important breaking news, been now fined and found in contempt of court. ladies and gentlemen. Here is the article. Donald Trump fined $9,000 for violating the gag order. Judge warns that he will face jail, ladies and gentlemen. So the judge has found that Donald Trump will face jail. There is another contempt hearing soon on this topic. This is what Donald Trump was commenting on moments ago at the courthouse. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Donald Trump's full, yes, yeah, okay, we got it, ladies and gentlemen. Here are Donald Trump's full comments from the courthouse. Let's go.
Thank you very much. So we begin again. This is a case that should never have been brought. Every single major legal scholar, Jonathan Turley, Greg Jarrett, Andy McCarthy, Dershowitz, every single scholar, Mark Levin, the great Mark Levin, had a whole show on it last night, said that this is a disgraceful case. It's a disgrace to the New York state and city court system. And all of the cases are, frankly, all of them are. You probably saw last night that Jack Smith got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. It was released late last night, and it's a big story. The documents case is a hoax created by them for election interference purposes. And so that one looks like it's going asunder. A brilliant judge saw some facts, and I haven't read what was revealed yet. It just came out. But the document hoax is indeed, it is indeed a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. All of them are hoaxes, including the civil cases. They're controlled by the White House. They're controlled by Democrat judges and prosecutors that were put there specifically. They hate Trump. And the people are getting it. That's why we just came out. A new Emerson poll just was released about 2 minutes ago. And I'm leading by a lot in every swing state and leading in the general election. And you saw the CNN poll. I'm sure they aren't too happy with it, but the CNN poll was fantastic. So we're here. This is a hoax. This is a judge who's conflicted. Badly, badly, badly conflicted. I've never seen a judge so conflicted. And giving us virtually no rulings. I hear I'm not even allowed to say advice of counsel. This is a new one to me, advice of counsel. When you have a lawyer and the lawyer does something or advises you on something, you say advice of counsel. He said you're not allowed to say that. And so you'll all figure it out. But I think the public has figured it out because the poll numbers are the highest they've ever been. And I appreciate you treated me, actually, I thought quite fairly, at least the people here, which is a lot of people. And I appreciate that. The Biden protests that are going on are horrible. It's all caused by him because he doesn't know how to speak. He can't put two sentences together. He's got to get out and make a statement because the colleges are being overrun in this country. The anti-Semitism, all of the problems going on, they're being overrun. I've never seen anything like it. He said he ran because of Charlottesville. Well, if the people that know Charlottesville, when you extend the statement, it's a big hoax what they say was said, and they understand that. And Charlottesville is peanuts compared to what you're looking at now. This whole country is up in arms, breaking into colleges, knocking the hell out of Columbia University. I mean, they took over. I know the building very well. They took over a building. That is a big deal. And I wonder if what's going to happen to them will be anything comparable to what happened to J6. Because they're doing a lot of destruction, a lot of damages, a lot of people getting hurt very badly. I wonder if that's going to be the same kind of treatment they gave J6. Let's see how that all works out. I think I can give you the answer right now. And that's why people have lost faith in our court system. So the Biden protests are a disaster. And he hasn't even made a statement because he's not capable of making a statement. I'm still waiting for him to debate. He said on the very lowly rated Howard Stern show, he said very strongly, I want to debate. Well, we haven't seen it. But we would love to debate any time, and I think it's a good time to have a debate, even though it's early. But 6 months is pretty close. November 5th is going to go down as the most important day in the history of our country because we're going to turn our country around. Our country is going to hell. It's going to hell. It's very sad to see. but November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. So I'm going to go into this trial. I'm going to sit in a freezing cold icebox for 8 hours, 9 hours or so. They took me off the campaign trail. But the good news is my poll numbers are the highest they've ever been, so at least we're getting the word out. And everybody knows this trial is a scam. It's a scam. The judge should be recused, and he should recuse himself today. It's the most recusable judge I've been. It's called recusal abuse. And he should recuse himself today. And maybe he will. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll do the right thing. But really, more importantly than the recusal, he should terminate the case today. The judge should terminate the case because they have no case. As Jonathan Turley said, as all of them said, every single one of them, Dershowitz, McCarthy, everyone, Greg Jarrett, Mark Levin, they all said this case should be ended immediately. This case is over. It should be ended immediately. And many of them are not fans of mine, but they want to do the right thing for the country. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go into the icebox now and sit for about 8 hours or 9 hours. I'd much rather be in Georgia. I'd much rather be in Florida. I'd much rather be in states that are in play, states that, I'd like to be able to campaign. Biden's out campaigning, if you call it campaigning. He can't campaign because every time he opens his mouth, he gets in trouble. But Biden is out campaigning very nicely. I think when I start campaigning, he'll stop. He'll go back into his basement. But I want to thank everybody. You've really been treating me very fair. I want to thank Time Magazine. They did a cover story, which is very nice. And it's actually, there's at least 60%, it's at least 60% correct, which is about all I can ask for. So I want to thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Are you going to part of the crowd with the keepers?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, fulfilling our oath to you to bring Donald Trump to you without yelling over him or shouting over him or cutting away or trying to editorialize what he was saying. Donald Trump, hysterical, hilarious, saying that Joe Biden will go back into the basement. Also saying that these trials are Biden trials. They are rigged against him. It is correct. And that the goal here is to put him in prison. The goal here is to make him Nelson Mandela, to have him run from jail. And that is what they want here, ladies and gentlemen. Judge finds Trump in contempt, fines him $9,000 for violating gag order. This is a $1,000 fine for each violation. Judge was unpersuaded by Trump argument that he was reposting others' attacks. This is the same judge that has banned Donald Trump from talking about him, his family, the fact that so the judge donates to Joe Biden. His daughter works for Kamala Harris and makes hundreds of millions of dollars off a psychosexual fantasy fundraising of locking up Donald Trump. And now daddy gets to do daughter's bidding. Really, it's incredible. It's like Herod in the Bible. It is remarkable. So the judge is going to fulfill his daughter's greatest wish, which is, of course, to lock Donald Trump up. There is another hearing on Thursday where the judge, who has already threatened Donald Trump with jail, will hear more potential violations of the gag order. Donald Trump has called these people sleazeballs and did so there. Donald Trump, who is, as we have covered many times, aging in reverse, is now facing an incarceratory sentence, the judge threatened in the ruling. The judge has threatened, this is Judge Juan Merchan, to impose an incarceratory sentence if Trump continued to violate the gag order. We'll have another hearing on this. Judge Merchan updated the gag order to prohibit attacks on his family members, mainly because his family members are corrupt as hell, and this judge is corrupt as hell, and because of the broken nature of New York. Now, the judge, it's the judge's job to say that he is conflicted. Isn't that remarkable? What a system we have. The judge has to tell everyone that he's conflicted. I don't see that happening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see that happening. This judge has dead eyes. This judge is clearly a self-aggrandizing sycophant, and this guy wants Donald Trump in jail. He wants to be the first guy to throw shackles on Donald Trump. So do it. Donald Trump says do it. Donald Trump on Truth Social said, I want to run from prison for president. He said, I'll do it. I'll be Nelson Mandela. You throw me in jail, I'll be Nelson Mandela. All right? Let it happen. Donald Trump saying there, let it happen. These are Biden trials. They are backfiring spectacularly. We have polling to get through there. But also, the wheels have come off They've lost control. The Biden regime has lost control of the simulation. We'll cover the psychotic Soros protests in a second here. But first, Jonathan Turley, one of our favorite commentators in the political space, in the legal space, is saying exactly what we all know to be true, which is that this gag order is intended to protect the corruption of the judge and designed to put Donald Trump in prison. Donald Trump not good on gag orders. Also, an assault on a First Amendment of a guy running for president. He is the Republican Party nominee for president. Jonathan Turley, one of our favorite political and legal commentators. Go.
Yeah, it's basically what we expected. They weren't asking for jail time. The threat is lingering out there. The judge wanted to put this Damocles sword dangling over his head. It's there, and the thread's getting thinner. And that's basically what the judge is saying. Unfortunately, I don't think the judge has re-examined his order. I think it's poorly written, and I also think it's way too broad. And the inclusion of Michael Cohen in that order is absurd. I mean, you have someone who is making money campaigning against Trump and attacking him on this trial, and the judge is letting him speak, but not for the president to respond.
So here is the actual order of the judge. Let's go ahead and click on the image there because it's a little hard to read. So you zoom in, you see, therefore the defendant is hereby warned by the court that it will not tolerate continued willful violations of its lawful orders, necessary and appropriate under the circumstances, and will impose incarceratory punishment. And is hereby ordered to the defendant to pay $1,000 per fine, violation of the court's order Friday, May 3rd. So that's $9,000 per order, found 9 times. And you can see there, right there, in black and white, they're going to lock Donald Trump up. They're going to lock him up. Democrats, as we have covered many times, already have legislation for the stripping of Secret Service from Donald Trump if he's put in jail under certain circumstances. This is the assassination plot of Donald Trump. Call it what it is. This is the attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. There is a act right now from the Judiciary Committee that says if you have Secret Service and you go into prison and you're in prison for a set amount of time, we'll take away that Secret Service and they'll just shove Donald Trump into the public prison population. And what do you think will happen then? We've covered many, many times that there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of assassination attempts on Donald Trump already. Thousands. There have been hundreds that we know about. Okay, you can go look through the pages of Fox News and CNN and find the hundreds of assassination attempts. One time, 4 years ago, during like the good times, there was no moral panic. There was no like psychotic Soros-funded protests. A guy just walks up to the White House with a knife, tells Secret Service, I'm going to kill Donald Trump. This dude was 25 years old, lived in Brandon, Florida, and he went to D.C. with a giant knife to kill Donald Trump. And that's what he told the Secret Service. What happens if the Secret Service isn't there? Right? They know what happens. These people are monsters. They're looking forward to the political assassination. Assassination by legislation is what Elon Musk calls it. Lawfare has caused Donald Trump to go up in the polls. We said we'd show you the polls. Here are the polls. I mean, many would say, keep going, right? Like if you look at this data, many would say, keep going. Here's the latest polls on the lawfare backfire Donald Trump.
So we'll get you more information inside the Trump trial in a moment here, but just wanted to take you back to August of 2022, or less than 2 years now, okay? This is where it all began with the FBI raid at Mar-a-Lago. What we have done here on this graphic is show you the yellow line. That's the Fox News approval rating for Donald Trump during all of this, okay? So back then it was at 42%. Let's move along quickly here. You got the indictment in the New York case here, in the Trump matter here. You got another indictment in the Docs trial that has now been moved to Miami. Another indictment in January 6th case, and you see where he dips to 39% at that moment. That was August of 2023, okay, so less than a year ago. Then you got the indictment again. There's a lot of indictments. Indictment in the Georgia election case down in Fulton County. You see where it starts to tick back up here to 43%. And then you have this monster ruling against Trump with the business fraud case in New York, $454 million. You also had that monster ruling against him with E. Jean Carroll, $83 million. And then you had a couple states like Maine and Colorado trying to overturn and kick Trump off the ballot. That was overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court to keep him on the ballot. And look where the trend line was, right? We started, what were we? Hang on, Jimmy. We had 42% way back then. Dana, we're at 45% now for Trump right on day 9 inside the courtroom, as I said.
Yesterday was the best day for polling in Donald Trump's polling history against Joe Biden. The best day. Every single poll that came out, including polls from the New York Times and CNN, Morning Consult and Politico, left-wing apparatchik polling organizations who are dead set on creating suppression polls, right? Demoralization polls, where they over-index leftists and say that there's no hope for Donald Trump. This is what they did to him all throughout 2016. There's no hope. There's no hope. Hillary Clinton's up by 1 million points. Right? This is what they did through 2020. Joe Biden's going to win Wisconsin by 20. Every single one of those polls showed not only Donald Trump winning by nearly 10 points, that's the CNN poll, but when you include the candidates who we know will be on the ballot, like RFK, Cornel West, and Jill Stein, Donald Trump is winning by a preponderance. Donald Trump wins in a 100-point landslide electorally. Now, don't get ahead of your skis, right? Do not get complacent, and we won't be getting complacent on this show at all. We'll be speaking with Donald Trump soon in Detroit, right? Must-win state of Michigan. We'll be doing a tour this fall. It's going to be very exciting. We'll be at the RNC convention, probably be at the DNC convention. We're going to hit it. We're going to hit it as hard as we possibly can. Save the country. And who are we saving the country from? We're saving the country from the Stalinists, and that's what these people are. It's important to call them out for what they are. Still a naughty word, right? Joseph Stalin is a monster. Mao Zedong is a monster. The first thing Joseph Stalin did when Joseph Stalin got power was started executing his political rivals. Joseph Stalin did not go after some minority group, right? Not at first. First time Joseph Stalin gets power in 1936. First thing Lenin dies, Joseph Stalin assumes power. First thing he does is absolute assassination of all of his political rivals. This guy named Leon Trotsky, who was supposed to be the heir to Camp to take over the Soviet party, like the Soviet Russia. This guy had to flee because it was found through a trial by Joseph Stalin to be guilty of crimes against anti-Stalinism, right? That's what they were called. And then they hunted him down. They eventually had him assassinated in 1940 in Mexico, where he had fled. These people are Stalinist. This is a Stalinist tactic. The first thing Stalin did was not go attack some repressed minority group or Ukraine or any of these other things. He did do horrible things to a lot of people, but the first group he attacked were his political enemies, his rivals, some of those people who had worked with him for decades, years. And this is Stalinist in its tactics. So who's allowed to speak under Stalinist tactics? Well, of course, the people you choose to speak, like Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is allowed to speak. Now, this is a known perjurer. This is a known liar. This is somebody who's faced criminal consequences for knowingly lying to the court. Star witness Michael Cohen is allowed to speak on all cable news shows. You can turn on the cable news at any time. You can find Michael Cohen blathering on. And not Donald Trump. How rigged is this Stalin trial? It's a Stalin trial. The trials are set again. There's a predetermined outcome, and they're set up to ensure that nobody has any say, that you have no ability to defend yourself. This is exactly that.
And now we move to, I guess Thursday we'll find out more about these such orders. Katie, do you think it is fair for let's call him the star witness, Michael Cohen, whether that's a capital S or a small s later in this trial, to be apparently on TikTok at night talking about the trial, et cetera, while the defendant cannot?
It's absolutely preposterous. The gag order it's preposterous. The gag order in the DC case, if we all recall, was upheld to a large degree because it applied equally to all of the parties. This gag order only applies to President Trump. It essentially prevents him from campaigning. It's been overly interpreted. It's too vague to interpret what it even means because it says that he can't comment on witness participation, but the judge has actually enforced it by saying he can't comment on anything about these witnesses, any of their credibility, even the idea that the judge's daughter is connected to the Democratic Party machine in a very obvious way. He's not allowed to comment on any of that, according to this order. So certainly, I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's entirely unfair, and it's a violation of his First Amendment rights.
I have done this many times. We have also had profound legal experts on the show explain this to me. I don't pretend to be some type of legal expert. I didn't go to Columbia Law School, right? I'm not wearing a Hamas headdress. Okay, I didn't have the privilege of going to the Ivy League. I went to community college, Kirkwood Community College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So listen to my profound thoughts. But we do have a superpower on the show. It's not being obviously a terrorist from the Ivy Leagues, but it is being alive, having a group of people that are working here that are really bright and really smart and that pay attention. Okay, we pay attention, pattern recognition, and we've been able to really sift through what they're trying to charge Donald Trump for here. It is insane on its face, but we'll go through it really quickly, okay? Real quickly. Donald Trump's a celebrity. Donald Trump has been a celebrity for a very, very long time. We actually have a series called Vintage Trump, right? You can go back decades. Find Donald Trump talking about running for president in the 70s, okay? Donald Trump's been a celebrity for the last 50 years, nigh on 5 decades. Donald Trump has had to settle nuisance lawsuits his entire career. Nuisance lawsuits are people saying, I'm going to come forward with a bad story about you, something you did or didn't do, and you better pay me to go away. That is common, normative behavior for any celebrity. This is something that happens to Tom Cruise probably 20 times a day. This is just what happens. Beyonce pushes a shopping cart in Whole Foods the wrong direction, and somebody sues her for a nuisance lawsuit. This is just how it works, okay? It's horrible. It sucks that we live in a fallen, sunken world like this, and people do this to each other, and this is just how it is. Donald Trump said there was no affair. Stormy Daniels signed a document that says there was no affair. But Donald Trump went to his lawyer at the time, a guy named Michael Cohen, and said, well, I mean, we don't even know what he said. Michael Cohen's going to testify. But the way it goes is Michael Cohen effectively had a amount of money delivered to make the nuisance lawsuit go away. I don't like that system, right? But that's the way it works for big time celebrities, for superstars. So there it is, and that's the crux of the case. That seems kind of weak, Benny. Like, how is that a case that's going to put Donald Trump in jail? Oh, here we go. So they were able to they effectively put that charge on the books. They wrote in what that charge was, and the state of New York, the DA, thinks that that is a campaign contribution because it helped Donald Trump out in the political campaign, so that's a federal violation. Now, interestingly enough, the people who are supposed to look into the federal violation, the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, the people who fined Hillary Clinton hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Russia collusion hoax. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, you forgot about the news cycle? Remember when Hillary Clinton paid for the Russian collusion hoax? Turns out she didn't classify it correctly, and she got fined hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. What's the point? The FEC passed on this. The DOJ passed on this. The FBI passed on this. The feds passed on this. Under Joe Biden, they all passed on this. The former district attorney passed on this in New York. They were able to get somebody dumb enough and stupid enough, slovenly enough, slobbish enough in New York with enough Soros bucks shoved down his pants on a stripper pole to charge this thing. And that's what Alvin Bragg is. The thing makes no sense at all, doesn't make any sense, and as it has been said, Michael Cohen is going to say, send my client to jail for following my advice. Huh? Here we go.
Well, this is a housekeeping witness, so it's going to be as exciting as watching paint drying. He's going to be talking about such interesting topics as setting up an LLC. The funny thing is that a lot of these witnesses are proving stuff that's not being contested. Nobody contests that the check was written, that it was through an LLC, but they're going to lay through that foundation. And all of this is to be the sort of prequel to Michael Cohen.
What's interesting about Michael Cohen being the key witness, you were telling us this during the commercial break. You said he was the one that gave Donald Trump this advice. He was his lawyer. So Donald Trump took his advice, and now he's going to take the stand and say what Donald Trump did was illegal.
Right. It's bad enough when you bring in a person's own counsel to testify against him. But Michael Cohen is literally going to tell that jury, please send my client to jail for following my legal advice. All of the stuff that they're talking about, he set up. He structured this, and he told his client that we could do this.
So wait a second. I don't understand. So hold on. What's the best metaphor for this? Your doctor. Okay, so let's say it's a trained professional. Okay, who got a degree. All right. So let's say your doctor tells you to get a knee surgery. You get the knee surgery that your doctor performed for you. You were under anesthesia, and then the doctor decides that knee surgery is criminal. Tells the judge to put you in prison for it. A lawyer is a credentialed degree. This was Michael Cohen's advice to Donald Trump to settle a nuisance lawsuit, probably one of 20 that Donald Trump settles every single month. And Michael Cohen said, here's how you settle a nuisance lawsuit. You pay them and they go away. The end. And they did that on Michael Cohen's order and on Michael Cohen's discretion. He's the one who facilitated all of it. And now Michael Cohen's going to say, put him in jail for it. Why isn't Michael Cohen going to jail? He's the convicted perjurer. He's the guy who's been previously calling for Trump to go to jail. Don't know why. Here's Michael Cohen calling for Donald Trump to go to jail.
He put out another post that attacked me. I'll tell you how I would act on it. If I was the judge, I would turn around and I would say, Donald, grab your toothbrush, grab your hair, and report to 500 Pearl Street, the criminal court, because you're spending the night in the tombs downstairs. And you'll spend every day. We'll bring you up for the trial, but afterwards, you're not going back to your triplex. You're going downstairs to the pokey until you learn how to act like a human being. That's what I would do.
Big tough guy. Big tough guy. Careful about lawyers, man. Careful about lawyers. Glad I got a great lawyer. But I'm like, be careful. These guys are real sleazebags. Michael Cohen is archetype, like straight out of Central Casting kind of lawyer. Literally advises his client to do the thing that gets rid of the nuisance lawsuit, which they've probably done a million times. And now he's turned completely, flipped completely, broken completely. So they went after Michael Cohen. They get him to flip on Donald Trump. We're finding this out in the documents case. This is the strategy. They've tried to flip guys. This guy named Walt Nauta, who is a close Donald Trump aide. And we now know that the federal government has been bullying him and trying to get him to flip on Trump. And then they charged him because he wouldn't flip on Donald Trump. This is mafia tactics. These people are gangsters. It is scummy. It's filthy behavior. And what is enlightenment? If you watch the show regularly, you know what the point of enlightenment is. Enlightenment. What is total enlightenment? Total enlightenment is understanding that your government are organized criminals. Total enlightenment is understanding that the FBI doesn't like the mafia because they get in on their racket. Total enlightenment is simply understanding that the federal government is a series of organized crime families. That's it. The more you see it like that, instead of a bunch of like virtuous, clear-eyed G-men, the easier your life will be because all this stuff will make sense. Now, the federal government pays for media to parrot what they wish to say is the church hearings. Amazing. I mean, we go back to the 1970s. Operation Mockingbird. Like, how were all the three major networks started? ABC, NBC, and CBS. Every single one of them, like, started by government fiat with government agents at the head of each one of them. There has been a government megaphone protection mechanism that has been in existence for your life and for mine. And you have to assume that the vast majority of corporate media is something that is coming directly from the people who are in control and pulling levers in the government. And what are they saying? Well, we have a clip telling you exactly how much these people have a psychosexual, unhealthy, should be clinically diagnosed obsession with Donald Trump going to prison. Here's just a small sampling.
The fine is not going to deter, but incarceration will. If I were the trial judge, yes, I would impose jail time.
Really? If Donald Trump continues to attack jurors and or witnesses or even court personnel, then the judge will really have no choice. but to incarcerate him. That could be for an afternoon or overnight.
I would give him 2 weeks of home confinement with an ankle bracelet. If he's a good boy in those 2 weeks and he doesn't violate the gag order, we can take off the ankle bracelet.
These despicable monsters. Listen to the way they talk about our president. If he's a good little boy, we're going to send you to the pokey. Listen to the way they talk about this. Now, don't get me wrong. I love me a good lock her up chant. Okay? Can I get a lock her up chant in the comment section, please? Can I get a couple comments? Lock her up. Producer Robbie, can you toss some lock her ups up on the screen, please? I love myself a good lock her up chant. Okay? I've been part of multiple lock her up chants. All right? But we're gonna have to come to terms with the fact that, I mean, if you have off the record conversations with people that serve in the Trump administration, many of them see that there is a big missing massive strategic error, which was actually not impaneling a special counsel, which the president has every right to do, to investigate Hillary Clinton. They thought they were being the better men. Literally. I've had so many dinners like this with very, very close friends, served as close as you possibly can serve with Donald Trump. Speech writers, advisors, in and out of the White House. You sit down at dinner with these people, they'll all tell you the same story. Donald Trump was a better person. He believes in America. He believes this is a vicious cycle. And he didn't want to be the guy to start it. But I think he'll be the guy to end it, ladies and gentlemen. Lock her up. Can you hear it echoing in your ears? Lock her up. Were you part of any of those chants? Did you ever go to any Trump rally? Were you ever part of a lock her up chant? Gets the people going. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Because Jimmy Kimmel and late night comedy is indistinguishable from the expert class and the educated Ivy League class, here's Jimmy Kimmel actually literally living out a psychosexual fantasy through action figures of killing Donald Trump in prison. In case you're wondering, it's called predictive programming. In case you're wondering, government does it all the time, where they'll show you what they're going to do ahead of time so that you're numb to it. Here's here you go, Mr. Jimmy Kimmel, playing the action figures, killing Donald Trump in prison. Here we go.
Okay, so now let's pretend this is his first day of prison, okay? And you guys can come in the area.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Donald Trump.
You're gonna roll with me. I got the knife. Don't talk to the police.
Okay. I can't talk to you anymore. Give me a kiss.
No, get away. Grab my pepper spray.
Ah!
We're gonna pull up on this guy.
I love your flesh-colored underwear.
That would not be the right thing to say to someone.
And what are you doing over here?
Kicking your ass.
I told you I would protect him.
Hey, what's going on over here? Hey, get down. Everyone get down.
Get down on the floor, inmate.
Yeah, but I can't get back up.
Donald.
All right, well, what did we learn here?
You gotta find someone to protect you, right?
I was going to say we wasted a lot of money on action figures.
Ha 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 ha. You know, I'm old enough to remember, I know this makes me ancient, I'm old enough to remember when a failed comedian, much like Jimmy Kimmel, held up a severed head of Donald Trump and ruined and destroyed her career. Like, where'd that America go? What's happened to our nation? There was a time, actually, and it's really remarkable to go back and rewind the clock. There was a time when people were like saying what people on the left, the hard left, were saying that what Kathy Griffin did by holding up a severed, bloodied head of Donald Trump, which I'm sure the image of which is seared into the back of your brain. Same with me. It's some images I'll never forget. Kathy Griffin holding up that head. I'll never forget that. And you probably won't either. And there was like this kind of like round condemnation from all corners, really. Destroyed her career. Everyone, Netflix canceled all the contracts. Everybody like disowned her. What happened as a country? Now we're like the only people that play this Jimmy Kimmel clip. We saw this and we were like repulsed by it. Jimmy Kimmel LARPing, murdering Donald Trump, guy with a knife, people beating him up, stabbing him on the ground. This is what they want to do. This is what they want to do. Who's there to stop it? You and me. Donald Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, who joined the show last week, may join the show this week. Love ourselves. Some Alina Habba said, yo, listen, Donald Trump will run from prison. Donald Trump will run from prison and he'll win 49 states. Okay? Because there's just, unfortunately, there's just no winning Massachusetts where poor ALX has to live. There's just, unfortunately, there is no ALX. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe not Massachusetts. ALX maybe could tell us otherwise. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Alina Habba said, get ready for Trump running from prison.
Donald Trump has said on Truth Social he'd be happy to run for president from prison, and he thinks it'd make him Nelson Mandela. Yeah. And I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
He's told me that. Yeah, he's told me that. He said it's like Nelson Mandela. You know, he's not wrong. The one time he said it to me actually was I was in court, and I remember him saying the same thing. And, you know, he says that, and he means it. I think he is the victim of political prosecution, and selective prosecution is what we call it legally. And, you know, that's when you target somebody because you don't like what they stand for, or you target them because they're your opponent in some regard or a threat to you. And that is what is happening. How can you say it's not?
Alina Habba says that Donald Trump has regularly told her that he will run from jail. He's excited to do this. The last week saw a podcast drop on Joe Rogan's channel. We truly respect Joe Rogan. And it was with somebody else that we truly respect. Actually, if I could choose two guys to have dinner with, they would be near the top of my list. All right? Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, Jerry Seinfeld, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. If I were to pick 5 guys to sit around a table, that would be maybe the list. I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it. But Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson talked last week on their podcast. And Tucker Carlson said, you better not elect somebody who's not willing to die for the country. Unless it's somebody who's willing to die for this place. That's why generals actually made great leaders. Dwight Eisenhower was a great president. Theodore Roosevelt was a great president. Abraham Lincoln was willing to die for the country. Abraham Lincoln did die for the country. He survived multiple assassination attempts, actually, throughout his life. Obviously, George Washington. Look through the list of leaders who are iconoclast Americans. Thomas Jefferson. Every founding father signed their death warrant, of course, and many of them died. Many of them were left destitute forever. Many of the founding fathers died, actually, in the war, and also were either imprisoned, tortured, lost everything. Like, you better elect the person who's willing to die for your country. What about Joe Biden? Who the hell is this guy? He's a draft dodger. He's a total scumbag. He's never sacrificed at all for his nation. Has only ever taken and strip mined this place like a parasite. Think about the last couple of leaders, Republican and Democrat, all of them scumbags, draft dodgers. George W. Bush was a draft dodger. Clinton was a draft dodger. Barack Obama spent his youth like being a Marxist, fomenting hatred for America, not even living in this country. Joe Biden, draft dodger. John Kerry was somebody who burned his medal, threw his medals, and burned his uniform, burned the American flag. Many say. Who are these people? Look, this is the problem. We're not run by people that are willing to sacrifice for this nation. Donald Trump's willing to sacrifice for this country. Donald Trump carved the skylines of this nation with his buildings and his properties and his incredible company. That's under attack. And the man's legacy will be, I will happily die for this country. And that's quite frankly what they're planning on doing. All right? Somebody who's not a Trump supporter. And the last thing we'll have on this issue, somebody who's not a Trump supporter, as far as I know, somebody who's not a Republican, I know that for a fact. Alan Dershowitz, the best prosecutor and best defense lawyer on earth, living on earth, having this to say about Donald Trump's case. There is no case. This is fraud. This is a fraud on the American people, and this is election interference. Listen to Dersh.
I got to get your take on what's going on in this Manhattan DA's courtroom where Donald Trump has been spending all his days. What is the crime?
There is no crime. That's why they're putting on people like Pecker talking about catch and kill. They're putting on McDougal. There's no crime. And, they ought to be very careful about this because the Supreme Court, the appellate court in Albany, just reversed Harvey Weinstein's conviction on the ground that they put in too much information that wasn't really relevant to the case. And that's what's happening. There is no crime in Manhattan. You cannot figure out what the crime is. That's why they're putting on all this evidence of non-crimes, trying to persuade the jury that catch and kill is a crime. It's not. Paying hush money is a crime. It's not. Putting a corporate statement is a misdemeanor barred by the statute of limitations. You can't suddenly resurrect that and turn that into a crime. by invoking a federal statute, which the federal government refused to invoke, and the Federal Election Commission refused to invoke. There is no crime. And if it's Donald Trump, they can go after you tomorrow and your relatives tomorrow for something that isn't a crime. That's why every American, whether you're a Democrat, should be opposed to what's going on in that Manhattan courtroom. It's a scandal, and it's a destruction of America's rule of law.
Destruction of America's rule of law. From the single most iconic defense lawyer in the country on earth. Ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves some major news here, okay? So this is something that we wanted to show you from this morning because we covered all the polls yesterday. And we covered how Donald Trump's never had a better polling season than right now. As the gears of justice, the rotted gears of justice begin to ratchet up on Trump, and as Trump declares he shall run from prison, and as the Time magazine, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Time magazine has Donald Trump on the cover if he wins. Look at that. Can we zoom in? Can we zoom in there? Beautiful. Look at this. This is not a Photoshop. This is not something that our meme team created, even though it could be. This could be a Jerry creation. All right? Look at that. If he wins. It's just like the iconic Time magazine that was published in 2016. They had a very similar cover that looked kind of like this. Are we is time a flat circle? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I cannot predict the future, but I got to tell you, they're nervous right now. They're shaking right now. They're looking at the polls. They're looking at the movements of young people. Donald Trump is winning consistently, and every poll tracking back 20 weeks with young people. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, there is a movement that is happening right now in the country, and Donald Trump has a commentary on this movement. It says, too big to rig. Or is what that movement is. Too big to rig is what that movement is. So we'll see. We'll see. Time magazine with the Donald Trump cover. This was sent in to us just seconds ago, actually, by one of Donald Trump's chief advisors, saying, hey, you should feature this on the show. This is actually a really great write-up. So we look forward to reading it ourselves. Haven't actually read through it, and I don't think any of our producers have, so we have no notes as of the time right now. But we will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that there is great energy happening right now. People are sick of this. They know what's happening. They know what's going on. And the foundations of what used to exist to control us have now crumbled into ash. You saw that at White House Correspondents' Center. You're seeing it in the numbers. You're seeing it in the views. You're seeing independent creators rise, and independent news and media rise, and free speech on the march. You're seeing this across Europe, across South America. It is remarkable what's happening in Argentina and El Salvador. It is amazing what's happening in the Netherlands. It is remarkable. The socialists are actually resigning in places like Spain and Scotland. This experiment, this globalist experiment, has failed. It is crumbling before our eyes. It's crumbling here in this country. And it's going to be very, very exciting to see. There are tumultuous times ahead. There will be ups and there will be downs. And that is why I'm very proud to be an investor in gold. I'm very proud to invest with my friends at Allegiance Gold, ladies and gentlemen. Allegiance Gold is who takes care of me when I want to just have some stable currency. It used to be called sound as a pound. My grandfather used to say, sound as a pound, right? From old World War II days when the pound sterling was backed by sterling, right? Can't say that anymore because it's backed by nothing. America used to have the gold standard, where it's backed by gold. Dollars were convertible to cash, to gold, right? Take your money, convert it to gold. Ladies and gentlemen, you still buy gold, and you should buy gold if you've seen the markets right now. You should buy gold through my friends at Allegiance. They will take care of you. They have the highest trust rating in the industry. Go to protectwithbenny.com today or call 844-66-BENNY. Right now, get $5,000 of free silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't get fooled by the insane inflated stock values or the tumultuous crypto markets. Protectwithbenny.com today. Go gold. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very golden week for our guest, we are very excited that somebody who we have regularly had on the featured on the program has seen actually some recent massive sweeps in the Utah GOP convention and a Donald Trump endorsement for the man who would replace Mittens Romney. Mayor Trent Staggs joins the program now. Staggs, my apology. Staggs, multiple Staggs. You're not just one stag, sir. You are multiple Staggs.
That's right. Staggs. I get called Stag or sometimes Skaggs with a K. It's Staggs.
Probably what you get called. Probably what you got called on the Romney family dinner. But this is going to be pretty legendary. You are on a roll, sir. You just got your Trump endorsement. You just won at the GOP convention in Utah. Can you give us the state of the race?
Yeah, you bet. And it was an historic win at that. Minnie. It used to. So the system in Utah is a little unique. It used to be uniquely caucus convention, and if one received 60% of the delegate vote at convention, which we did, we got 70%. They were automatically the Republican nominee, went straight to the general. After Mike Lee won in 2010 and beat a 3-term incumbent Senator Bob Bennett, the establishment here got scared and they passed what I affectionately call the Rhino Protection Act. And that allows somebody to buy their way on the ballot. They can just go out and buy a bunch of signatures, get on the ballot. And that had happened here. But so I've got now winning that convention, getting that Trump endorsement, that was just phenomenal. I mean, I get a text message at 6:30 in the morning. I'm literally driving down to the state convention in downtown Salt Lake, the state GOP convention, and get a phone call from President Trump. That was really quite remarkable. We've been working very hard for the last 11 months since we entered this race. We were the only ones to challenge Mitt Romney. I made it my stated goal. We've got to replace this guy. I don't care if he's running again or not. He finally made the decision around October 1. Late September to go ahead and not seek re-election, but being the only one in this race that was willing to challenge Mitt Romney to stand up and do that and take on McConnell and be very vocal about that I would never support him as majority leader or leader in the Senate, that we need new leadership. We've got to have folks that are going to put America first. I've committed to join that Freedom Caucus equivalent in the Senate. With Senator Tuberville and Mike Lee and Rand Paul and Rick Scott and Ron Johnson, many. There's only 18 of the 49 Republicans even that are America first. And so I've committed to join that, and all of those things, plus, of course, President Trump's huge endorsement, I think got us to a landslide victory, very historic with 70% of the delegates. Now the primary is June 25th, and I've got 3 other people that bought their way on the ballot. Congressman John Curtis is one of them, and he is one of the 30 Republicans that voted for the January 6th committee. He supported the impeachment inquiry of President Trump, for crying out loud, and censured him on the House floor. And he also chairs a climate caucus. Unlike him, I don't support climate alarmism. In fact, I took an oil and gas company, an energy company, public. That's why I've been endorsed by the Oil and Gas Workers Association of America. So, Congressman Curtis there would be my main competition in this race. And you couldn't have 2 more, I think, diametrically opposed people in this race.
Yeah, sounds like a Mitt Romney mini-me, a little mini-me sitting there on a baby carrier. Mitt Romney walking around talking about hot dogs in the Senate. What the hell's wrong with this? We played that video. We're not going to play the video again. Mitt Romney talking about. There's so many things going on in the world. Mitt Romney's filming videos about hot dogs in the Senate. Okay, cool, man. All right, great. You'll be welcome down in Fulton County with Nathan's hot dog. So this is remarkable to me. We spent the entire show sort of talking about Donald Trump in court. He was just found in contempt, and how the pressure really doesn't seem to be getting to the guy. He says, "Put me in jail. I'll run from jail." You just talked with him on the phone. How'd Donald Trump sound? What did he tell you?
Oh, I spoke to him Saturday morning, and then I sent him a text sharing the results of the convention, and he called me back on Sunday, and it just sounded remarkable. I mean, when you consider all that's happening here, all the lawfare, all the assault on this person, and trying to just take him down. I mean, clearly, the definition of election interference in my mind. You've got the left going after him so ferociously, yet he sounded great. He sounded in good spirits, and he was very, very excited for the election win that we had, and looking forward to getting me on into the Senate. And I reminded him of the fact that, look, I've been a supporter day one. I've always supported President Trump. And it's not just his great policies. I said, sir, you actually got one of my Riverton residents home. As mayor of this city, we had one of our residents that was thrown in jail in Venezuela. He remembered it straight away. We had a conversation about that. And that's what I spoke about in my speech at CPAC. I said, we need leaders that care about everyday Americans. President Trump loves this country, and I have no doubt, speaking with him, he cares so much about everyday Americans. It shows. The left knows that. They know of his popularity, and they're doing everything they possibly can to destroy this person and not have him on the ballot.
You are Mitch McConnell's worst nightmare. Do you think that your victory here and then your victory in the general is part of the reason why the turtle went back in the shell?
Yeah, and it is, sadly. We've got to get our own party speaking the same, singing the same tune here. It's I had, just so that you know, I had a swampy DC PAC spend almost $40,000 attacking me amongst just the 4,000 delegates in the state of Utah. They were relentlessly attacking me the last 2 weeks. Just the mailers themselves were so false, just patently false. They were easily disproved. I think it ultimately backfired on them with a group of well-informed delegates. But they were saying things like I hated cops, that I blamed I've got the endorsement of the Utah Fraternal Order of Police. I've always supported law enforcement. They were trying to claim I was woke and I was weak, and said I didn't support President Trump, which was very, very crazy. I mean, I was the very first elected official in the state of Utah to endorse President Trump last summer. And just coming out with all kinds of things that they thought might impact my support amongst delegates. And it's incredibly dirty and dishonest what was coming out from the DC swamp, just trying to attack me. And we knew the reason why. It's just as you said, I'm McConnell's worst nightmare. They know that one more individual like me is going to be less power for them. It's going to be one more no vote for their endless war, for their endless debt, and for all the nonsense that they're trying to push down throats of the American people. And we know we're not going to have it anymore.
One more thing, Mr. Mayor, there's going to be a leadership vote almost as soon as you get to the Senate. And I believe you'll be part of that vote. So your thoughts on Senate leadership? I think that's obviously critical. That's probably the most important role other than Donald Trump's vice presidential selection. It's something we really keep an eye on.
Yes, it will be important. Senator Tuberville, when he came out here and endorsed my candidacy, we campaigned. He talked about that. He said, look, we need him. We've only got 18 of 49 roughly that are part of this executive steering committee. He's committed to join. Kerry Lake in Arizona, Bernie Moreno in Ohio. He rattled off a number of folks that are running now. We think we could actually get to that majority within our own caucus. That's important because we want to ensure that we're voting somebody who's not Mitch McConnell 2.0. And so I've committed not to do that. I think Rand Paul, Rick Scott, a number of members of this executive steering committee would be fantastic. And I'm willing to and want to support somebody like that because we've got to get back to process. What Mitch McConnell, his biggest failing is what Mike Lee, Senator Lee, calls the firm. He wanted to just be part of this group of four that would go in a back room, cobble together 1,000+ page pieces of legislation and budgets and force other members of the Senate to just go ahead and vote on it. And that's not becoming of a self-governing nation, of our republic. We need to have our elected officials there at the table, putting together the budget, the 12 various appropriation subcommittees that are there, and each one should have its own budget with opportunity for debate and amendment. And we've got to get back to that process that will ensure we get back to a balanced budget, which we haven't had since 2001. And the last several years have been these continuing resolution omnibus spending bills. That's why I put out a contract with Utah saying I will not vote for an omnibus spending bill, period. Because until we have enough people that will stand up and have the courage to do that, even if the government were to shut down, we're not going to get back to process, and we're going to be $50 trillion in debt here pretty soon.
Yes. It's unsustainable. It's nation killer.
It is.
But you are one of the few standing up and saying so. And I think that the amazing thing about bravery is that you see one guy and that inspires 2 more, and that inspires 7 more, and then you can turn on the slave masters, right? And that is where we seek to bring the energy of this movement and this program. And Mr. Mayor, Godspeed to you. We are so proud to have been sort of an early supporter of yours. Get into that Senate and start causing a ruckus.
Will do. Yes, and I need to recognize there. I mean, you have been from day one. I mean, people viewed me as an incredible long shot. You know, last year when we announced our candidacy, the only one to stand up and challenge Mitt Romney, say this guy's got to go. And we took on the establishment every turn, but here we are. We've been very, very fortunate. And my wife and I are incredibly humbled and blessed to have all this support. And so thank you. Thank you very much.
And Mitt Romney can just put his dog on the top of his car and get his binders full of women packed up and get out of Washington, pal. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so
Godspeed.
much. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, it's very fun to see our friends achieving great things. It is very exciting to see what is happening when you actually stand up. Unfortunately, that is also the sort of theme of our next story here. The predictable result of letting a bunch of Hamas holes take over your campus is that they will begin to behave like Hamas holes. Protesters who have been camping out at Columbia University have now effectively smashed into the university and are now marauding through the university, taking hostages, which is on brand, gotta tell you, for these people. They're taking hostages in an academic hall. They've renamed an academic hall. How are these fundraising letters going, by the way? How are the fundraisers going? How does Columbia send out a fundraiser to anyone? Much less like a graduate who's like a Christian or a Jewish person or a person of law and order or faith, and be like, hey, yeah, you should fund this. My take on this is very simple. Good. I know this will be clipped and taken out of context, but I say good. All right. So my take on this is you have invited this infestation. All right. You're the person who didn't do the treatments. You're the person who created this monster that left these little academic bubbles that have fomented anti-American hatred, anti-white hatred, anti-Israel hatred, anti-capitalist hatred. Tell us what you really want. We want the end of apartheid. No, you don't. Well, tell us what you really want. We want the end of capitalism. Okay, got it. What's your end goal? Communism. That's actually the goal, all right? They're just using this as a battering ram. They're just using this issue as a battering ram. Same with BLM. It's the same people. I don't have any tears for you. I don't actually cry, really, at anything, okay? The birth of my children is the only time that it's acceptable to cry as a man. That's it. Those are your acceptable. There are very, very short lists of acceptable times to cry as a man. The birth of your children is one of them. Watching It's a Wonderful Life is another one. And that's about it. Okay? That's about it. So I don't cry for these people. You're getting what you created. You're getting what you created. Producer Robbie says getting married. Producer Robbie's getting married this weekend. So we'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out, Robbie. And we will post an update on Monday's show to see if you getting married is an acceptable time to cry. I'll take the photo. I'm in the groomsmen party, so we'll take the photo and we'll find out. The election of Donald Trump in 2024, ALX says, is an acceptable time for men to cry. Are there other acceptable times for men to cry? Let me know in the comment section. Producer Robbie is here. He may or may not cry at his wedding. He is getting married this weekend. Producer Robbie may or may not cry at his wedding. We'll have an update for you. But let me know in the comment section as we go through this next story if you can come up with other acceptable times to cry. Danny D. Urbina says my golf swing. Yes, actually, that is sanctioned. That is sanctioned. It is acceptable to cry when you watch Danny try to hit a golf ball. If you haven't checked out our new documentary on Donald Trump's remarkable property, Trump Doral, his golf empire, you totally should. All right, so here we go. There is obviously the Frankenstein, the Frankenstein syndrome that is at play here, right? So that's what's going on. It's just the Frankenstein paradox. Let's call it the Frankenstein paradox. Here it is. You create the monster, and I'm not sad when that monster comes after you. I'm not sad when that monster, you lose control of the monster and it goes and attacks the town, and then it attacks you. These leftists are turning on their own institutions. They're burning down their own colleges, the colleges that radicalize them. Dr. Frankenstein created the monster, and then the monster destroys his laboratory and destroys Dr. Frankenstein. That's how it works, idiots. You dumb jackasses. So here's what Columbia looks like today.
They have now stormed an academic building, have occupied it, have barricaded themselves inside of that academic building. They want a promise from the university that they won't be punished at all. Those are their three demands, and they promise to now have Hamilton Hall theirs until those demands are met. I will say they have now renamed Hamilton Hall, according to the protesters. It's now called Heinz Hall. That is in honor of the name of a 6-year-old Palestinian girl named Hind Rahab, who was reportedly who was killed in Gaza on January 29th. During military operations there from Israel. So that is what they have now renamed Hamilton Hall here at the campus. But as you can see, again, the NYPD here has they're here. They haven't been called in by the university. It appears they're just on standby, and there have been no plans, from what we understand, for them to go in. They have not received, as of the last hour, instructions from Columbia to go in or do anything.
So let me just like make something very clear here to anybody who has any fond memories of the Summer of Love BLM. Smashing, destroying private property is not free speech. Criminal behavior is not free speech. Behaving like a jackal isn't free speech. Behaving like a jackass isn't free speech. These are not free speech issues. When you're smashing into buildings and occupying them and taking people hostage, that's not free speech. That's criminal activity, and you should get some of the police responses that have been happening across the country. Like, for instance, ladies and gentlemen, here's what happened in Georgia. Georgia's a fine state. Are you from Georgia? Georgia's a fine state. Fine football legacies in Georgia. Are you from Georgia? Did you play football? Georgia has a very fine football team. Okay, many say that the Georgia Bulldogs college team could beat many NFL teams. I don't know. It'd be fun to watch. But it seems like if you don't make the NFL in Georgia, you can just go to the state troopers, and you'll have a great career still tackling people. Here we go. Yeah, no, this is great. This is great. You're good. Yeah, you're good. This is fun. This could have and should have been.
This one was loaded up too. I just removed it through the Trump one.
And we had we have a fun situation. I should have done color commentary over that. Let's try this again. Let's do this with color comment. Let's do this with Benny color commentary. So ALX is like, no, your mic was open during that. Well, good. Here we go. Color commentary. All right, so then he's got him. Okay, it's tackle, perfect form tackle. He's down. The Hamas hole has been shouting and yelling, and it looks like this young man who didn't have a father is getting daddy owned. Say hello to daddy, you salty lid. There we go. Perfect. We should do this more often, actually. This is we should do NFL color commentary. So there are big clashes with police all over the country. These people are replacing American flags with Palestinian flags. They are grotesque, but really it's important to note they don't have any real aggrievement. These people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just hate America. They hate white people. They hate colonialism, which really is just capitalism in America, right? They hate like our culture, and they want to see it destroyed. They're miserable people, and we're really glad that the police are getting rid of the illegal encampments. Here's what it looked like at VCU over the weekend. Yeah. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have some very interesting. We do have some very interesting reporting out from this morning, where, thank God, at this University of Florida, the police have begun arresting various members of this group, and they look exactly as you would have expected. I saw the mugshots posted early this morning, and you're gonna absolutely love these mugshots. These are the mugshots of the people that were arrested in Florida. This is, I mean, again, it's straight out of Central Casting. Let's click on the mugshot, and then we do sort of the. There you go. Okay, great, perfect. Look at the dead eyes. Look at the lack of purpose. This is what happens when your country loses religion, man. Look at the mullet. I gotta respect that mullet. Let's keep scrolling. Okay, here's the next ones. Okay, this is like an advertisement for not sending your kids to public school. This is an advertisement for homeschooling your children. Your children won't look like this if they're homeschooled. Okay? They won't look like this if they're. This is an advertisement against the system. This is what the system actually does to your children. Let's see. I think we got one more here in the thread. There you go. Here we go. The image of fatherlessness. The image of parents, show up for your kids. Okay? Just show up for your kids. You don't want to be in a nursing home someday with like your kid arrested and you realizing that the most important job you ever had in the world was actually just showing up for your children. It's not even hard. You just be there. I was rushing out the door today. We had a busy day at work here, and my girls wanted me to read them a story, a Dr. Seuss book. I read them the Starbelly Sneetches. Okay, we just stop. We sit down on the front. I'm literally on my way out to work. Stop, sit down on the front porch, and we read the Starbelly Sneetches. People walking by are like, "What the hell is wrong with that guy?" Don't care. Don't care. Guess what? Guess what I got out of it? I got a flower. Okay, it's literally sitting on my desk here. My 3-year-old picked this flower for me, and this is for you, Eloise. And she puts it in my ear. There you go. That's what she does. Is this an acceptable time for men to cry? No, it is not. But men can accept gifts from their beautiful little 3-year-old daughters. So this was Eloise. She picked this out of the planter in front of the house. So then it sits in front of me as I do the show, and as we rant and rave, and it reminds me to be a good dad. Show up for my children. These are simple things in life, and it prevents them from being in mugshots like you just saw. Purposelessness is the corrupting vector of Satan. Okay? People say idle hands. There's another way of saying it. If you don't fill that void as a parent, someone or something, demon, will, some ideology, some sick type of refuse will enter that void that should be there for a father and mother and should be there to protect your children and to give them the anchoring that they need. And something will come and corrupt that. And your kids may, I hope not, but may end up in this lineup of miscreants, goofballs, losers, and lunatics who were arrested. Their mugshots now splattered all over the internet in Florida. Straight out of Central Casting. Don't do that. The most important job you will ever have. Go home early today. Spend time with your kids. Spend time with your kids. Spend time with your kids. That's how we save this place, ladies and gentlemen. That is how we save this place. Elon Musk has lots of kids. Elon Musk has lots of kids. George Soros has been proven to be the funder of many of these protests. Soros and other elites are funding the campus agitators and anti-Israel protests on college campuses. This has now been proven, so now we can, sort of say it with verve. Just a reminder of how Elon Musk views George Soros, in case you wonder who's fighting the good fight here, who's on whose side. George Soros is an inhuman monster. That's been proven time and time again in his life. You can look at some of his earliest interviews, or you can look at his visit to Haiti with Hillary Clinton and wonder what was going on there. Yeah, really makes you wonder. George Soros hates humanity. Elon Musk, take it away.
I mean, Soros actually, he is, I believe, the top contributor to the Democratic Party. The second one was Sam Bankman-Fried. Yeah. So, and Soros, I don't know. I mean, he had a very difficult upbringing. And in my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, he's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. You know, getting DAs elected who refuse to prosecute crime. So he's good at spotting, basically arbitrage, like spotting value for money that other people don't see. So one of the things he noticed was that that the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and then. But once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good. And Soros realized that you don't actually need to change the laws; you just need to change how they're enforced.
So smart. It's so smart. You don't need to change the laws. You just need to change how they're enforced. It's happened here. It will make me forever appreciative. Donald Trump's my man, but it'll make me forever appreciative of the governor of Florida because he's ripped these Soros prosecutors out of Tampa, out of Orlando. He said, nope, sorry, I'm the authority here. Respect my authority. And Ron DeSantis, shaped just like a little Cartman, comes through and just removes these guys. And they scream, they bitch, and they moan, and they demon scream about it. And they can't do anything. This man is uniquely evil. And purposelessness is something that is, again, the corrupting vector of dark forces on our earth. Okay? Dark forces. Purposelessness. That's what you see here in this remarkable clip. There was an interview with a protester. You know, the people smashing the buildings, right? And going in and storming into the Ivy League. There's this interview with this protester where they're smashing things up, they're screaming, they're raging, and you get the microphone, right? I'm not gonna use this microphone. You get the microphone. Okay, we've done a million man on the street. Okay, so what are you angry about? What are you protesting? What are you protesting? Tell us. Okay? And here was the answer. It's remarkable. Purposelessness. Okay? Watch.
And what would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU's doing.
Is there something that NYU's doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU's doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support. So I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
Why are we protesting? What are we doing? Like, I don't know. What are they? Like, there was cops? And people were yelling? And injustice? And we had churros? And it was very good. Okay? And they were vegan churros? And I ate them. So, whatever. Huh. I don't know. Who even are these people? Who are they? They no purpose. They have no purpose. They have nothing that connects them to the real world, to eternity, to the spiritual world. They are, we call them orcs. And they're orcs. It's mindless, brainless. I don't know, birthed from the ground, in the Sauron pit. They're just orcs. Find purpose in life, man. Find Jesus. The hilarity, of course, is what happens when libs try. So libs have lost the plot on these protests, and now they want them destroyed. Okay, so the police are allowed to go in and break up these protests when there is a political push for this. When the professional organizers, when the real professional goblins have backed a protest like they did in the Summer of Love in 2020, the media is sent in effectively to whitewash the whole thing. And that is exactly what happened during the BLM protests. Producer ALX with a great throwback here. The Summer of Love.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started, and there's a crowd that.
Okay, so it's mostly peaceful. Okay, this is mostly peaceful. He says, buildings are burning behind you, bro. They're burning behind you. It's amazing what happens when the narrative actually collapses. We have one more really short salt that lib for you today. It's a salty, salty clip. You're gonna love it. We need to do our salt. We miss our salt. Here's our salt. We missed our salt. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we missed our salt. We have the awesome 3D printed salt shaker. I don't know where. Oh, here we go. Ah, thank you, Klein. Here we go. We have the awesome 3D. We have our salt. We haven't salted the lid in a little while. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have this great clip, and it sort of blends very beautifully into what's going on here. What they have created is collapsing, and the world that has been created by these people is in shambles, and so they're going to start seething and lashing out. Okay, it's untenable, and when you strip away the thing that the monster wants the very most, they fight like a rabid dog for it, right? And what do these monsters want? They want power. And they get power by controlling narratives. And there's this moment, this is remarkable, last night where Nancy Pelosi was on TV with Katie Tur. And Katie Tur fact-checked Nancy Pelosi. Something that happens literally every second of the day to Donald Trump, okay? They fact-check him in real time. Donald Trump can't get a word in edgewise. Remember Trump's CNN interview from a year ago? He can't even talk. Mr. President, Caitlin Collins on CNN, but Mr. President, yeah. So they try to do the same thing with Nancy Pelosi, talking about how all the jobs that Joe Biden's created are all just like COVID jobs that came back because you shut down the entire economy. And Nancy Pelosi had like a feral cat hiss fit last night on TV, and it's our salty lib, salt that lib of the day. Please, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
And Joe Biden is doing that, created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role, but it ain't mine. And he has the worst.
That anybody can accuse me of that.
We
watching this. It's too entertaining. She's like Palpatine. He's like I know Jerry's watching, like thinking about all the memes. It's like Palpatine. It's incredible. Just like the slightest little like crack in the veneer, and all the lies come tumbling down. Right? It's like the power of truth. Really is beautiful. It's why we end every single show with the Bible verse, ladies and gentlemen. Our verse of the day from Deuteronomy: the power of truth. But if from there you seek the Lord your God, you will find him if you look for him with all your heart and with all of your soul. Seek God, man. You know, you look at these protesters, you look at the purposelessness of their lives, vacuousness. They're all going to be arrested. They're going to destroy you. You're going to be felon. You're going to destroy your life. You're going to destroy your life. You're done. You're going to be felon. All the potential, all the spark that was given to you, it's been destroyed. Okay? Like, no. Seek God, okay? And you will find him. God will reveal himself to you, sometimes in miraculous ways. And then that will give you this, that will retain the spark of life. Christ says, be a light on a hill. Like, be a big old light on a hill. You don't light something in order to hide it. And Christ also talks about salt staying salty. Okay? You don't add salt to something if it's lost its saltiness. Don't lose your salt. Okay? Like, metaphorically, literally, spiritually. Don't lose your saltiness. Okay? Stay salty, in fact. Seek God and march with us on to victory. It's your boy Benny. This is the Benny Show. See ya.